He also has a very well developed relationships with many of the characters. He gives commands to Cat, who can be annoyed, and so can One Knight, and he's disciplined, not wanting to risk their lives for money, and they can question him at the same time. He isn't totally euphoric that he silenced them, and he can be condescending to Hippie, but he can also have fun with One Knight and Hip, and they give him advice on Lindsay. He's respectful to them, and he grows to be more understanding of Cat's fear, but Cat cares enough for him to swim far and save him. He can also calm a scared Hippie down and gives hope to a sad Sonny, but he's dismissive of Hip's paranoia, but Cat can even be scared in front of him openly. He also does consider Hip's opinions when he shows proof, and One Knight is even self-conscious later on towards him when they need each other to admit to Lindsay, just to help him, that she needs to drive the sub in order to be able to help Virgin, as she is better at it than One Knight, and she knows him enough to advise Lindsay to be personal when he's diving very deeply, and Hip and One Knight are both joyful when Virgil turns out to be alive, and Cat is also a bit totally overwhelmed at first. He can also be very vulnerable in his relationship towards Virgil. This is so sweet. Two people are both happy because they love each other. It's so nice. Oh, and I read they would have suppressed non-Catholics through Holocaust as well. Well, in my opinion, you're wrong, as the Holocaust was committed by Nazis, who were German socialists, who are anti-religious, and are against religious influences, and left-wing, don't forget that. Oh, and the Pope told to give discreet aid to Jews and tried to prevent deportations, but, well, your opinion, you have your opinion, and I have mine, and, I'm gonna need some more macaroni. I hope there's still some left. I'm really gonna eat some, I think, yeah. Virgil has really good motivations also. It is believable he would care a lot for the crew, as he isn't an ambitious driller, mainly focused on money. He is really a genuine leader. He works in a more low-key project, and he only joined into this very well-paying enterprise because it was suddenly offered, and he's smart enough to know the dangers of Coffee's plan, as he is an experienced oil driller who only went along with the mission with great hesitation. So it's very believable he would be so idealistic about it, and that he would be so cautious of Coffee's bossiness and the whole plan. Also, he has a really strong backstory that perfectly explains his role in the story, as well as his relationship with the characters. He has been working on the rig for a long time, and he has had many forms of difficult training, and he has worked together with this crew for a long time, but has never been in a truly tough situation, and this explains him being calm as well as a strong leader, but not being that completely and utterly decisive. And he's also very crucial to the story, as he disarms the bomb, meets the aliens, fights Coffee, and saves Lindsay, and his character traits strongly play into the story. He was able to take down Coffee as he's calm, and could think through enough to know to swim to the rig, and because he's caring and idealistic, he goes down to disarm the bomb. Also, I wanted to apologize for something. I have drawn out those jokes about Protestants way too long. I've made way too many pointless jokes where I call Protestants heretics. I apologize for that. I should have hated a lot more on the Eastern Orthodoxes, because the stories I've read from them, the arguments, oh my god, they're bad. I mean, they totally rely on the idea that the supremacy of the Roman bishop within the Catholic Church only started shortly before the schism, that before that the Catholic Church and the Eastern Orthodoxes were united, and that we succeeded from the Eastern Orthodox churches, and they tried to claim that they descend from Jesus, of course, but they acknowledge Peter's supremacy, but they tried to claim that all bishops descend from Peter, even though Jesus clearly established one leading member of the apostles, one person who would lead his church. So logically, if Peter would then choose a successor, there would be one leading successor, and it wouldn't all of a sudden be a collective effort. If Jesus chose that there was one leading position, it means that Peter could pass that on, because Peter had that authority, because a king can choose a successor. Anyone who gets authority without official restraints can choose a successor. So of course Peter could then choose the next pope, so then that next pope has Jesus' blessing indirectly as well. So that obviously means that Jesus wanted one leader, and because not even all the bishops descend from the apostles, it's basically saying that when a king says that this person is going to be the next king, that then after him all of a sudden every single prince, governor, and even knight is part of a collective government. That just makes no sense, and the only thing they rely upon to claim that Constantinople has a higher position is later ecumenical councils, even by interpreting them in very contradictory matters. So the point I'm trying to make is, you're totally going to hell, in spite of what the Pope might say. I mean, he's right about everything with the exception of one thing, that he's not right about everything. I'm sorry, but ecumenics, they're bullshit. I mean, why would we try to work together with people to come closer to an understanding through talking and for being human and civil the way Jesus did? I mean, that wasn't very successful. He died on the cross. No, the Catholics became successful once we joined up with Constantine, who did not create a church, by the way. And what did he do? He murdered the people in the East. So this is what I think we should do. I think we should really go ahead and reconvert Morocco already, because North Africa actually used to be Christian before the Islamic conquest, and I thought that was very nice because it created a strong connection between Spain and Northern Africa. It made for better trade. So, but that's just my opinion. So Virgil is a really, really great character, and this arc is really influenced by the story, and all of his character traits are well demonstrated in the story as well. Lindsay is also a perfect second protagonist. Also, she's almost as great as Virgil. She's very critical, outspoken, blunt, and harsh, and can really get angry as bossy as well as defiant. She's also very self-reliant, and some people complain this is talked of how she would be a bitch, but it's never shown. But in the beginning, we see her yell at Virgil and at the leaders of the company as well as bossing around coffee, and she's also stubborn and very closed up. But she can also be warm, even in the beginning, to her close friends, and even a bit joking, as we see her with Cat, which means that she's made extra real, because even in the beginning she isn't a total bitch. She's also superficial and possessive, acting like the rig belongs to her, and she's also hardworking, and even in the beginning she can be vulnerable when she mentions to Virgil that she hasn't worn a ring in months. She can also be a bit overwhelmed. Hey, I could also overwhelm her. And with a good review, of course, because I'm a good pious person, I'm a Catholic. And there's nothing sexual about this film except for the part that she's suffocating and gets all wet. Where was I? Oh yeah, so I think one of the best early popes was Clement I. He was very important to establishing the precedent of apostolic succession as an official element of doctrine. She's also cautious, like when she notes that the amount of warheads can be dangerous and can be worried, and she is also helpful. And so her main flaw is that she is very obsessed with her personal pursuits and very protective of them. As a result, angry at anyone that gets in the way of her personal plans, and very bossy, and as a result, mean to anyone who backtalks to her. And she's too stubborn, and she's also too self-centered, but in parts because she actually sometimes also thinks her plans are the best for everyone else. And she also does care about others a bit. She just has a problem showing this and making others just as important as herself. So then one of their crew members gets into a coma by seeing something scary, and she saw an alien and starts to care more about the crew as someone got injured and to believe in something more meaningful. And at first she tries to be up close about it, but Virgil, by being comforting to her, gets her to be more open and relaxed, but she's still cold and distant to Hippie, being paranoid as well as Virgil reacting coldly to this. And after this, she risks her life to save one of the SEALs, and as he's in real danger, and she shows an even more compassionate side of herself. And she then tries to help warm up the ship, and he's even more caring and concerned. And Virgil shows he's glad she's there with him, and she's flattered, but is still a bit closed up, saying she isn't, although she's more comfortable around him laughing. And Lindsay then sees the aliens and becomes more idealistic in making contact with another alien race, and becomes more open and relying on others, telling Virgil about it, asking for his trust, and she becomes more sensitive. And yeah, I like her being more sensitive. Now it's pretty depressing to be a one-trick pony, but it isn't nearly as bad as that one-trick pony. You know, relating to a twist ending? That's right, people who make M. Night Shyamalan jokes. It's so repetitive and old. Also, she's still annoyed and aggressive when Hippie attaches many crazy theories to the alien encounter, but Virgil refuses to support her, and instead of acting mean, she's just sad, and that shows a more complex, vulnerable side to her. She still acts very stubborn and possessive, provoking and aggressive Coffee when she discovers that he placed a nuclear weapon in the rig, but when Virgil tells her he is dangerous and the risk involved, she actually listens to him, and she then also acts proactive and calm by trying to photograph the aliens to calm Coffee down and show him there are no Russians, but is still stubborn, wanting herself and him to keep it a secret from Virgil and Coffee and everyone else. Then in the middle act, we see a lot more complex sides to her character, like her bringing actual Coffee to the injured SEAL, showing she's supportive of kind individuals, which is very natural. She's nice to him, and she supports kind people, even if they are part of groups she doesn't like SEALs. She's just aggressive to those that hurt her ambitions, but she fakes that, as we will see later, and this builds that up very well. And we see her being incredibly stressed, and also we see she can be more relaxed amongst Virgil, telling him to sleep on his side so he doesn't snore, showing also really strongly how well she knows him and that she can relax next to him again. Then she's curious and trusting when she meets the alien water tentacle, and seeing the aliens are nice, she becomes more optimistic and relaxed. But what is realistic is that she's still so aggressive as well that she immaturely rubs it in on Coffee, who's already very stressed and overwhelmed by the event. But I'm not gonna do that. I'm wise and relaxed now. Even though the fact that Jews praised the Pope for his actions during World War II totally prove we did not cause the Holocaust. But in spite of that, I will try not to rub it in and stay nice, even though Jews usually don't accuse Catholics of being responsible for the Holocaust, and the Nazis were very openly anti-religious, and the Pope often condemned many genocides committed during the Second World War, and called on people to stop deportations. I'm gonna try not to rub that in, because, everybody's got their own opinion, of course, so I have to respect your opinion. I don't know why, but I'm taught that I should, so I will. I can do that. I'm a nice person. I'm not at all vengeful or annoyed by the fact that everyone around me has the IQ of an ape. No, I'm gonna be nice, yeah. So after this, Lindsay openly and happily discusses what kind of aliens they are, showing she's already becoming more open and relaxed, and then when Coffee locks them up, she in her stubbornness tries to calm him down against Virgil's advice, and he gets angry and tapes her up, but she's grown so much she talks nicely and calmly, and after this she tries to talk the seal who guards them to let them out, but she still in her arrogance assumes she will be able to talk him out of it, which everyone reacts skeptically to, but after this, when they are actually saved by one of the friends and Virgil gets the door to subway open, she chases after Coffee in the subway. She works together with Virgil while listening to his advice, even though she still reacts annoyed to his criticisms, and she compliments him once they've succeeded, and then it turns out they cannot both make it out alive, and she acts really selfless, suggesting Virgil wear the suit, so he would make it out for sure, while she might drown, and acts very courageous, having herself drowned to be revived, and she is shown to become understanding by explaining her plan very relaxedly and kindly to Virgil, trying to get him on the side instead of bossing him around. And then when we see she isn't Supergirl, because we really see she is incredibly scared to drown and acts very sentimental kissing his suit, which shows also a more vulnerable side to her. She's making a sacrifice, but she doesn't just do it like, oh, this is mine. She isn't Supergirl. She's a vulnerable person, which makes her even more three-dimensional. And then when she is revived, she compliments Virgil more, and she's happy and relaxed. And then when Virgil even takes the breathing fluid, and she's very caring and worried that he is gonna get hurt, that the breathing fluid might kill him, and immediately wants to abort the whole plan. And apparently they claim that Mary wasn't a virgin for life because the Bible mentions Jesus having brothers and sisters, even though many early 2nd century works, the first to mention this stuff not in passing, asserted that these were Joseph's children from a former marriage. But we will only follow the Bible, even though that one was only put together in the 4th century. Well, yeah, you can have that opinion. I just, in my personal opinion, think it's strange, as if you would follow the Bible that closely, that you wouldn't read it in context, as the original version uses the word brother and sister in a sense that could refer to cousins. But apparently we don't check the translation meanings in a book that is the Word of God. Okay,